Sacrifice Syndrome. Part 1. Since awakening allows one to see everything, then gradually neglect sleep, avoid all kinds of miscellaneous dreams, no longer contemplate the difference between lying down and standing, not worrying about the confusion of walking flesh. After all, summarizing experiences leads to scenarios, and the complex concepts at the bottom of the bowl, as well as the symbol of death at dusk. Summer is intense, enjoyment. Spring is subtle, change. Winter is forcing. There is no autumn, no absolute harvest. Thus, returning to tomorrow, this life is driven by questions, rarely thorough, sterilization, sometimes passing by a malt distillery, picking up a bowl, and when it has water, dropping in at will, pure brew, seeing it as the soul in plain water, drinking it in one gulp, requires the strength of making a firm decision, like explaining necessitates tolerance, decisive and undoubtedly, expressing the reasons for being late for survival. Pity those despicable habits. Pity those who cannot understand, whose smiles cannot transition to true kindness. Yes, sacrifice syndrome. One must live to know, intending to put the body into suffering, to endure the stimuli that most people avoid, diagnosing all obvious symptoms over 20 years, distinguishing genius over half a century. Thus, another 30 years of constant confusion between poetry and dullness. Setting these aside, worshipping strangers in ancestral halls. Is our fate not to defeat our ancestors? The heritage of ancestors. First is suffering, finally is happiness. Various signs. I am convinced, since birth, the best friend should be oneself, the uneducated self. After that, make friends with the system. The method of understanding human nature through tattoos. The instinctual loss of tattoos. Unless at the age of dreams one can just perceive the Milky Way in their eyes. Just close one's eyes amid complexity, feeling the blurred ravines until the turbid water becomes clear because of alcohol, feeling the subtlety of spring pushing away the dust, marginalizing purposeless games, or climbing until summer, informed by the scorching sun that losing oneself is self-restraint. Those 20 years are just the beginning of knowing the throne of the spirit, but unable to distinguish the position of the soul.